I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Israel.
Madam President, before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Undersecretary Majed Abdelaziz and the Office of the Special Advisor for Africa for their commitment to promoting international support for peace and development in Africa. Madam President, Winston Churchill once said, "A pessimist sees the difficult in every opportunity. The optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." No one would argue that the countries of Africa had had more than their fair share of difficulties. Despite the many challenges, the continent is rich in talent, in energy, and hope, the building blocks needed to unlock the continent's vast potential. My personal understanding of Africa does not come from Hollywood movies or stories in National Geographic. I speak from personal experience. As a young child living in what was then Tanganyika, I recall the warmth and the sense of community of the African people. I also vividly remember the feeling of excitement that followed when nations earned their independence. In the 1950s and 60s, dozens of African countries pulled down the flags of the colonial powers and raised the flags of their own. Since then, nation after nation had begun the difficult transition from war towards peace, from dictatorship towards democracy, and from poverty towards economic stability. Madam President, we're here today to discuss the progress in Africa's development. NEPAD is an initiative led by Africans for Africa. It provides unique opportunities for African countries to take control of their own development agenda, to work together, and to cooperate more effectively with their international partners. From Zululand to Yorubaland, and from the Nile River to the Niger River, NEPAD is helping advance Africa's common goals. You could say that NEPAD is the launching pad for Africa's in the new millennium. The nations and people of Africa have made tremendous progress on the path towards greater prosperity. Yet, from the promise and opportunity on the horizon, there are still daunting challenges, including extreme poverty, drought, famine, conflict, and gender disparity. In Burkina Faso, the average working day for men is 8.5 hours, but for women, it's 14 hours. In Gabon, women perform 95% of farm work and usually work 15 hours a day. In contrast, even during peak agricultural periods, men spend only 2 to 3 hours a day on agriculture. Studies show that if African women were given the same access as men to vocational training and to technology, the African economy would expand by at least 40%. This is a staggering figure and one that cannot be ignored by anyone in this room. It goes without saying that the African nations have primary responsibility for their social and economic development, but the international community must do all it can to support these efforts. Madam President, in its earliest days, Israel was a fledgling state barely able to provide for its own, was surrounded by enemies, and struggled to cope with the absorption of hundreds of thousands of refugees. In 1958, then Foreign Minister Golda Meir traveled to the African continent and saw the many challenges shared between the African nations and Israel. She said, and I quote, "Like them, we had shaken off foreign rule. Like them, we had to learn for ourselves how to reclaim the land, how to increase the yields of the crops, and how to irrigate and how to live together and how to defend ourselves. End of quote. Driven by the Jewish value of tikkun olam, the obligation of every person to play a part in making this world a better place, we launch an ambitious program to share our nation-building knowledge with the newborn countries of Africa. Today, Israel is an oasis of innovation in an otherwise arid region. We have more startup companies than many of the world's wealthiest countries. Our doctors and researchers have made medical breakthroughs that have saved countless of lives. We lead the world in green technologies like solar power and desalination, and our scientists have found innovative ways to vastly expand the yield and the quality and the quantity of crops. Madam President, Israel has been eager to share the secret of its success with the rest of the world. Through Mashav, Israel's Agency for International Cooperation, we are sharing our innovative solutions with countries throughout Africa and around the world. Israelis are helping save lives through organizations like Save a Child's Heart that provides pediatric cardiac care to children from developing countries who suffer from heart disease. This organization has helped hundreds of thousands of children around the world, including from Ethiopia, from Tanzania, from Nigeria, Ghana, and Angola. An Israeli irrigation company introduces low-pressure, low-cost drip irrigation system for subsistence farmers, providing them with enough water to raise crops year-round. In the Kenyan village of Kitui, farmers began using this system instead of hauling water from wells. They saw a 140% increase in harvested yield and a 200% increase in income. Israeli scientists are also helping overcome many of the most pressing problems faced by African farmers. After discovering that 50% of every grain and pulse harvest in the developing world is lost to pests and mold, Israeli researchers designed inexpensive bags that protect crops from water and air. These bags are being used by countless African farmers to keep their grain market fresh. Madam President, there's a wonderful African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is what NEPAD is about, Africans forging Africa's future together. A new wave of optimism is sweeping through the plains, mountains, and savannas of Africa. But in order for this optimism to take hold, every child and every family and every community must have the opportunity to build a brighter future. So let us pledge to empower the people of Africa. Let us commit to ensuring that they have equal opportunities. And let us strive to ensure a brighter future for all of Africa's people. As musical superstar Shakira said in a song, "This time for Africa," she says, "Today's your day, I feel it. You paved the way, believe it. This time for Africa." Thank you, Madam President.
I thank the distinguished representative of Israel. I like that song too.